All right, good morning and welcome back to another episode of the PlantFueled Femme. Today we have guest Dorota with us, and Dorota is a decluttering coach, which I think is super interesting, and I am really looking forward to learning more about what this entails. But I just want to welcome you, Dorota. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks. Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Dorota, I am very curious, like about this whole concept of decluttering. But how did you get into the space of helping people work through decluttering?
Yeah, I struggled with clutter my entire life. I always loved nice and tidy spaces, but I could never keep them that way. I would clean for hours and hours, and then um, I would exhaust myself, and then I sort of got clutter blind, if that makes sense. So I would never
Mhm.
notice when it actually starts happening, and then all of a sudden it's like boom, right? Mess everywhere. And then it would take me weeks or months to clean again because I
Mhm.
I would just need motivation. I would just need perfect timing, perfect set of circumstances, and I had to feel right to do it, right? And then pandemic happened, and it's funny because at the time I also I ran a really successful cleaning business, and my home was like literally a shithole, like a trash can, basically. So for me, the shame was always like it was just like a double whammy. But when the country uh, went into lockdown, I lived in England. I basically had to get like a normal job.
Mhm.
And because I sort of worked a long hours, and then what happened really was that the country reopened, I could start my business again. So I ended up working both of those jobs, so 15 hours a day.
Oh my
And
gosh.
my home just got like unimaginable, right? And I remember sitting at the edge of my bed thinking, no, like how? How can I? I'm successful, always been successful, high achiever. How did I get here? So I started purging. And because I worked 15 hours a day, I started with 1 minute. That's all I had time
Mm.
for. And fast forward 6 months, I got rid of 70% of my stuff. And I thought, I think I'm onto something here. I dove really deep into brain science as well, and I decided to start influencing people in a way, just posting on Instagram, really.
Mhm.
Um, and then I thought, okay, I think we can reproduce this. And I sort of decided to become get my qualifications and become a coach.
Okay, but that's awesome. That's quite a story. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, 15 hours a day is a long, long work day. Um,
Every day, right?
yeah, yeah, and that's fascinating that like your primary job was cleaning for others, but then that was something
Mm.
you yourself struggled with the clutter at home.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
and a lot of women do. A lot of my clients are high achievers at work. People
Mhm.
come to them for advice, but then they come home and it's just like a totally different person, right? Because they don't have that time for themselves anymore, and it goes really quick from there.
Right, right. Yeah, I can see how that would happen. So,
Mm.
you mentioned that you kind of dove into the psychology, behind this. So what does drive that?
Hmm. It's a very complex question, a very easy
Yeah.
question to ask, but a
Right.
very complex answer because there's so many things, so many stories behind clutter. If we
Okay.
look at clutter from the perspective of a symptom of something, then it's always easier because it's not our fault that we are in the situation that we are, right? Or we
Mhm.
have been. Um, a lot of times we've never been taught how to manage the home, right?
Mhm.
We've never been taught how to set boundaries. Boundaries actually especially for people pleasers, is the biggest energy drainer, right?
Right.
No wonder then we don't have energy and time to look after ourselves. And if we don't look after ourselves, then we don't have that energy. Or maybe the other side of the spectrum is we do way too much at home, but then there's always something that's going to have to be sacrificed. A lot of times is the home, but
Mhm.
also the way we grew up, societal expectations. There's just so much that could be the cause of clutter. But I think it's very helpful and empowering to a lot of women that, hey, it's not your fault. It's just a circumstance, and there is a way out.
Right, right. There is always a way out.
Hmm.
Because it is a learned behavior of some sort.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a skill. That's all it is, right? If you can learn how to ride a horse, which is bloody hard. I tried so hard. Um, all those things, right?
Right.
It can be learned. It's just what happens is, and I see it all the time, we overcomplicate everything so much.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Um, right?
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be. So it can just be so easy. We just need to let it be easy.
Right. Right. Yeah, that overcomplication is a real stumbling block in so many areas
Mm.
for sure. So when someone is, in that kind of cluttered environment at home, what do you see that the emotional impacts are?
Ooh, everything, snapping at kids and a partner, right, for no reason.
Okay.
That's like number one, right? Maybe having fights because no one can find scissors when
Mhm.
they need them, or no one can find the jersey, when there is a game night or whatever, right? Or like kids have to get ready for school for next day, and then all of a sudden we cannot find the things or permission slips, right?
Right.
All those things, and we just become as women. I only work with women, and
Okay.
the reason being is that women need more love, and I don't discriminate men because my method is not gender locked,
Hmm.
but there is a huge difference between how women operate and how men operate,
Yes.
and I direct all of my love and attention to supporting women at that right now. Sorry. So there is so much that is on our shoulders as women, this mental
Mhm.
load. Um, that only now we start to talk about this. So emotionally, there are studies done that, it's a cause of depression, anxiety, low self-esteem. Every single one of my clients, when they come to me, and especially one-to-one clients, they hate themselves.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, they do
Gosh.
because clutter, because they feel like a massive failures, right?
Right.
And it's not even an exaggeration here. Like, I hated myself. I thought I was gross. I thought I was disgusting. I thought I was like the worst person because, it's just like, it's a mess. How can I not be able to sort it out? But there is this blocks, right, that we hit as
Hmm.
when we want to get stuff done. Uh, that we as women tends to what we tend to do is blame ourselves for everything,
Right.
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So yeah. So yeah, that has to change in the world. It has to change.
Right. Yes. So then with the blame, there comes the shame because you're failing.
Mhm.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. That
Yeah,
makes
and that is number one way. So the way I approach decluttering is, for me, nervous system regulation is the
mhm.
most important tool, and it's one
Yes.
of the like 90% of everything that I do. The way I teach decluttering is nervous system regulation. So shame, self-judgment, shame. These are like this internal pressure.
Hmm.
These are three probably the most dysregulating things for our nervous system. Um, and if we have to navigate through that to be able to to find ways out.
Right. Right. Yes. No, nervous system dysregulation or regulation, I should say, is key to finding success in so many things and just living a much more balanced life in general. And and in my practice, most women come in and they don't even understand or have a clue like how just jacked up their nervous system is.
Totally right. It's
Yeah.
it's fascinating. It's fascinating how we also, again, going back to overcomplicating everything,
Hmm.
um, like when I look at nervous system, the way it's being spoken on social media, Instagram, TikTok, all the
Hmm.
platforms, it's like, do the cold plunge, yoga
Oh.
17 times a week. You have to go for a 5-hour walk. Like, I'm exaggerating right now, but it's just
Hmm.
like this nervous system regulation becomes another thing that we fail at,
Right.
right?
Yes.
Another thing for us to be not good enough at, and it becomes like a very like a bra hustle energy. Whereas
Hmm.
nervous system regulation to me, it's take a deep breath, right? Take
Right.
5 deep breaths. That's how you regulate that. Those are the most primal aspects because, like, exactly, right? Nervous system, if there is any perceived danger, right,
Mhm.
that is detected by our brain, our body, that's it. We already dysregulated. It's already
Right.
going to kick in, right?
Yes.
So the most primal way to regulate is breathe,
Hmm.
go eat something, chew the gum because chewing is
Hmm.
okay, I'm safe because if I was being chased by the saber-toothed tiger, I wouldn't have time to eat.
Right.
But now if
Yeah.
I'm eating means, oh, okay, it's very primal.
Right.
Again, make it simple.
No, I love that. Simplicity is huge because you're right. If
Mm.
it's not simple, then it becomes complicated, and when it's complicated, then we it's too overwhelming, and then we stop doing it because it's overwhelming, and then we feel like we fail.
Yeah, and then we blame ourselves, and it's just another thing to add to the list of things that I couldn't keep up with,
Exactly. Yeah,
right?
and social media does. You're right. It does a wonderful job of telling us to do all these complicated things when truly it goes back to just breathe. And that's what we coach too is like because we ask what practices do you have for stress management? And everyone's like, well, I go to the gym. That's not
Mm.
stress management. It goes back to breath.
Yeah,
Yeah.
breathing, even, go to sleep the same time every
Yes.
night.
Oh my gosh. I agree.
Don't, like, what do you do the first like 10 minutes after you wake up? Do you look at your phone and
Hmm.
immediately comparison, immediately another thing to do on your list, emails, things like that?
Yeah.
No, just, put a phone away and spend those 10 minutes without this added pressure of, oh, yet another thing I have failed at, right? You'll
Right.
have time to look at emails later, but in the
Hmm.
morning, our brain is the most moldable, right? It just
Right.
wants to be like it's the most we can imprint it with good things, right?
Hmm.
So why not take a breath, put your hand on your heart, like, okay, good morning, let's have a great day. And that's
Yes.
already, even just this one sentence, it's already bringing bringing those positive, good emotions. Um, and yeah, mass mute. I mean, I blocked so many people, so many accounts on Instagram
Hmm.
because they don't serve me. And when I
Right.
don't feel great, the decluttering is the last thing that I want to do.
Right. Right. I think you just touched on something that's important. So we can be surrounded by clutter in our homes. And there's, always mental clutter of what the next task is. But social media and what we choose to do with our time online can also be very cluttered.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and I think that people don't even realize that.
No, because we live in autopilot, right? On
Right.
autopilot. 99% of the world lives on autopilot, going through
Yes.
motions, not even realizing that, you know, there is a cost to that, and it's always the way we feel, right? The way how
Mm-hmm.
we feel dysregulated, how the lack of attention span, being irritable with our kids. That's because we are in this survival mode where we're just going through motions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, And then no wonder clutter piles up, right? No wonder we
Right.
doom scroll because we just want to feel better. We want this relief. So we go and watch Netflix for hours, right? Because it's this easy way out, but it doesn't
Right.
change anything. It doesn't help us move and navigate through clutter, right? Going back to that clutter all the time, because the motion of going through clutter, which is I don't know what to do, I don't know where to
Mhm.
start, I don't know how to do it, I don't know, like all of those things. There's so many question marks
Right.
that we immediately, and that's now our nervous system response. Our nervous system goes, okay, too much too soon. I have no idea what's the outcome of this going to be. Mm, not going to do it at all. Let's go scroll. Let's go watch
Mhm.
Netflix, right? Let's
Right.
go and take a nap. Nap is actually a good idea, right? But because you can recuperate a
True.
little bit of energy. But it's we usually either go doom scroll or watch Netflix, and we those do those things. And that's sort of always how the loop is going to go for us.
Right. Right. Because it's too stressful, it's too overwhelming. So you freeze.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's actually I through work with my clients, and it's exciting that you mentioned that because I sort of discovered, well, obviously we know that there are four nervous system responses: fight,
Right.
flight, freeze, and fawn, right?
Mhm.
But also those responses you can find in the way people approach decluttering. It's just so beautifully linked.
Okay.
So like you mentioned, freeze, right? When we feel like, okay, I want to go and do it, but I don't know what to do. So we feel this very often. My clients say, like, I want to do it, but I feel like I cannot move, right?
Right. Yeah.
I cannot move. Like I just don't know why I cannot get off the couch.
Hmm.
Um, that's the freeze response, right? Or planning, over planning when we okay, we are like, let me go and declutter, right? So you grab pen and paper and spend 30 minutes writing out the smallest little thing to do. By the time you're finished, you're like, "Ugh, okay, I've had enough, right? Like I'm already
Right.
exhausted.
Yes.
We think we are moving forward. That's a very sneaky way the nervous system works because we think we are moving forward because we've done the list, but
Hmm.
nothing actually changed, right?
Right.
That is the freeze response as well. Then we have avoidance, which is scrolling, going on Netflix, and doing all the other things.
Hmm.
Right? That would be the f flight response of the nervous system, right? Then we have the infamous, I mean, I hate this thing actually. The ruthless purging. A lot of actually
Oh, yeah.
organizers or decluttering coaches, decluttering people recommend ruthless purging, but this is one of the worst things that people can do because it's ignoring all of the emotions and everything. I could go
Hmm.
really, really long into, on this topic, but ruthless purging, like this, just grab everything and throw away, that is also a nervous system response because we've had enough, right? The environment is like way too overstimulating. So we just
Hmm.
want to like burn the house down, basically, right? Grab a trash bag and throw everything away. And then
Right.
we have the fourth response, which is the fawn, which is basically known as, lie down and pretend that you are dead, right? Play dead, which is basically people pleasers, where we
Hmm.
have to keep everything because we need to please either people around
Hmm.
us because maybe someone will need the item, or we don't want to have either fights, or we don't want to we try to prevent feeling uncomfortable with other people or with ourselves, right? So
Right.
this feels uncomfortable, so I'm not going to declutter anything. And if we know that these things, these little things that we do are nervous system responses, and we
Hmm.
can come at it with compassion and this awareness of, isn't this interesting that I feel this way,
Hmm.
right? Loads
Right.
of self-love, loads of compassion, loads of, okay, it's okay. It's okay, right? We can get through this. It's okay. I know it's scary. I know you don't want to. I love talking to myself, and I always get my clients to do the same thing because it's the way we respond, it's not, and our thoughts, we have to separate ourselves from the thoughts and the way we respond because it's just a primal aspect of us, but it's not a decision maker. Um it's not us, really us, right?
Right. Right. Yes, it's a response. And
Mm,
I think that you have something really beautiful there in that you have to learn to separate it. So, looking at the thought, like, yes, you can feel overwhelmed, but don't judge yourself. Like, don't think that you're a failure. It's acknowledging
yeah.
that, but then, still making that next step of like, why do I feel overwhelmed? And then you can start to deal with it that way.
Yeah, for sure. It's like we hear all the time, treat yourself as your best friend, as you would treat your best friend, right?
Right.
But it's just like sometimes it's like, oh, that's what people say, but we
Hmm.
don't tend to really, really do that.
Right.
Um, and if we think about ourselves, right, our innermost self, and if we sort of separate ourselves from that inner person inside and we put
Hmm.
them next to us, and that was our actual best friend, right? Would you talk to them like that? Would you talk to your mom like that? Would you talk to your best friend like that? Would you talk to your
Right.
daughter, your son,
Yes.
your husband, your spouse like that? You
Right.
wouldn't, right? But we
No.
do belittle ourselves all the time,
Hmm.
because we think we can get away with it. But long term, it's always the feeling of whatever I do is never good enough.
Right.
I always fail, all those things, right?
Right.
And awareness is a beautiful thing because we can look at those thoughts that we have. And
Hmm.
again, biology, 80% of the thoughts that we naturally have are negative, right?
Right. Right. Yes.
That's what it is. Like it's crazy. And if we are able to like separate ourselves from those thoughts and just say like, hey, it's okay. You cannot get it wrong. There is no right or
Hmm.
wrong decision, right? It's
Right.
only what feels aligned in the moment. Even if you maybe declutter something that later on you regret, it's
Hmm.
okay. You know,
Right.
it's okay. You
I
love
can.
yourself through it. You hold
Yeah.
yourself through it. You believe in yourself through it yourself. You trust yourself through it.
Right.
And no matter what happens, the thing is, right? No matter what happens, you've got your own back, right? You'll figure it out, right?
Right.
You're resourceful.
Hmm.
You're amazing, right? You figure it out. And that already can break this hold that clutter has over us, especially those we think sentimental items, but a lot of times
Hmm.
we keep like five ladles,
Oh yeah.
and we cannot get rid of one.
Yeah.
um, because what if I need it, right?
Right.
So just the compassion is a big, big, huge thing here.
Right. Right. Yes, I have totally been guilty of that where I've gotten rid of something because it was something I was holding on to, like, what if I need it later? And then, time goes by and I don't need it. So I toss it. And then inevitably, it's like some situation happens where whatever it was I threw away would have come in useful, but you do just fine without it.
Yeah, and the funny thing is we it's like a loop that we constantly are going, through those motions because
Hmm.
we are scared to declutter something because what if I need it, right?
Right.
But then we sort of get brave and we declutter this item, and immediately, almost like even next day sometimes, you are like proven wrong, quote unquote, which I don't believe, but you are
No.
like proven that, oh my gosh, I should not have decluttered this because look, I need it. Even though it was in my garage for 25 years,
Right.
a day after, right? Because we noticed that our brain noticed that particular situation. And
Hmm.
then immediately what brain does is immediately links those two things into, oh my gosh, I can never get rid of anything because I'm gonna need it, right? I'm gonna need it because I don't trust myself that I will be fine
Mm-hmm.
without it.
Right.
And that's the biggest piece. That's huge. This lack of trust, um, that, we don't trust ourselves that we will be able to make the decision, that we
Mm-hmm.
will be able to be without the item, right? Or I don't know, is the world going to end? No, like you're gonna figure it out, right? You're gonna figure it out.
Right. Right. That's so true. Yeah, that lack of self-trust is huge,
Mm.
inside of our coaching too, because when we don't have that self-trust, I see so much self-sabotage. Like they will be doing great and then they're not. And it's just the lack of trust in themselves.
Yeah, and what's funny is also that's why I really, really believe that those traditional decluttering advice that's out there, it doesn't work long term because what it is, it's outsourcing all of the decision making to someone else's system, someone else's rules, someone else's checklist.
Right.
Right. But the way I teach decluttering is, yes, I'll give you the steps, but the steps
Mm-hmm.
are formulated in a way taking account the brain science that you
Mm-hmm.
decide. You decide what to do with the item whenever you are ready, right?
Right.
Um, Having a checklist, and here's the thing with the checklist, right? Is we get a checklist. There's like 30 items on the checklist, or a very popular now, beginning of the year, are those challenges, 30 items in a month or 10 items a day, things like that. But you are on day three, right? And you haven't done your day three. So
Mm-hmm.
then now is day four, and you immediately feel like you failed, right? Because now you
Right.
have to play the catch-up game.
Right.
Or if you have a checklist of 30 items and you are only being in air quotes, are able to do 10 things, rather than
Mm-hmm.
celebrate yourself for being able to do 10 things, we are like, oh shit, I failed because I haven't done the remaining 20.
Right.
Um, right? And it is outsourcing all of that power to something that's external, rather than being happy with, oh my gosh, I just decluttered one item, amazing, right? And the
Right.
more proof of that, I started, like I said at the beginning, I started with 1 minute a day.
Mm-hmm.
uh, and after a few days, I already saw a massive difference in my home. Maybe like visually, if someone came, they'd be like, oh, what are you on about, right? Like there's nothing changed. But
Right.
I noticed the difference in myself because I showed up every day.
Mm-hmm.
The lowest, literally the lowest entry point, 1 minute. And I did it. And whatever I managed to do in this 1 minute, it didn't matter really because all of the sudden I became a person who did it,
Right.
right? Not the person who wished it was different.
Mm-hmm.
And then a minute changed into two, three, five, 10. It
Mm-hmm.
snowballs from there, right? It doesn't mean
Right.
that, I was doing hours a day, because I think I never did more than 10 minutes, to be honest. But if you learn to trust yourself and know that, okay, I got rid of this item. What's interesting to me is that I remember I got rid of something that was hard for me to get rid of. I think it was like half burnt candle that I paid like 20 quid for, like 20 British pounds, right? Which is like probably around $25. Um, and and I really like this candle. It was quite small and I really liked the smell. But then every time I burned the candle, I would cough, right? And
Oh,
it was
yeah.
just like it wasn't a nice quality one. So I got rid of this candle and I was like, oh, the piano didn't drop from the sky, right? tornado didn't come and like take my house. I'm still alive,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Like nothing happened. And when you have that feeling, when you break that, you expand that nervous system capacity to hold more and more and be able to make more and more of those quote unquote hard decisions because they
Hmm.
are challenging, the more you feel like, okay, what else can I,
Hmm. Exactly.
where else can I test myself? Where else can I push and try? But it always goes back to, it's okay. If I'm not able to do anything today, rather than belittle myself for not doing it, just go, okay, well, I survived today. That's a win.
Right. Right. That's true. And I love,
Mm.
how you demonstrate that starting with 1 minute, it's I think it's fantastic because it breaks something down to like the easiest level. And when you can consistently do something at the easiest level, you build that trust with yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's to me, it's hilarious where, I mean, maybe hilarious is not it's the paradox of life, I would say, where we think that when we declutter our home, that we have to do everything at once, right?
Right.
Like those two steps, everything at once.
Yes.
But but imagine training for a marathon, right? Or like an
Right.
ultra marathon, 100 miles, right? Imagine on day one showing up at in Utah at at the desert or like Nevada. There was like the extreme ones are, I don't think they run them anymore in Nevada, and run 100 miles on day one, right?
Right.
Like you just die. Like you
Yeah,
would literally
probably.
like the helicopter, the emergency helicopter would have to haul you out. But that's what we do with decluttering. We
Right.
we think everything at once.
Yes.
Right? What about one thing at a time?
Right.
One step
Right.
at a time, one thing at a time.
No, I love that so much because you can build on that and then it becomes something that's sustainable.
That's the whole point of sustainable. And to burst
Hmm.
everyone bubble who listens, you'll never be done, right? We
Oh
will be
no.
decluttering until the last day on the planet. But because we always bring stuff in, but there is a difference between backlog decluttering and just a maintenance decluttering, right?
Right.
When
Yes.
you declutter to the point where you're like, okay, I'm happy with my home now, the next time you go around the room, you will find more things, which is just very natural thing. Or maybe you'll start looking at things differently, and then all of a sudden it will just be, like a flick of the wrist decisions. Um, but we always bring stuff in. We change the way we dress. We change the way we operate in our homes. Like we move houses, move countries.
Hmm.
There's always going to be when the things come in, the things have to go out too. Um, so it's just a very natural process. And if we think about it like cleaning the toilet, we have to do it every so often, right? Or
Right.
like brushing our teeth.
Hmm.
You have to do it every day, right?
Right.
You
Yes.
don't notice when you do it, but when you don't do it, you're like, oh
Yes.
shit, I have to go and clean my, like brush my teeth, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that. Um, well, I think we've dove into this from a lot of different angles you've shared a ton of practical steps. Was there anything that we didn't cover today that you wanted to share with the audience?
I think the most important part is um, there is no rules, which
Right.
means you are the one who gets to make the rules.
Hmm.
And it gives women that freedom of like, oh, I can decide, right? Like
Right.
permission slip to just make your own rules. But the compassion piece is how can I speak to myself in a little bit more gentle way and also
Hmm.
notice when that happens, and when it does, um it's okay. It's just imagine that you are speaking to a 5-year-old version of yourself who's just like throwing a tantrum, right? And that is probably the version of you who's saying those negative things because she wants the attention, right? Because she's missing something from the adult you. So, it's okay. You cannot get it wrong. It's all good.
Right. No, I love that. And I think that is something that it would be a valuable practice for women attempting to change anything in life.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, just be in life with compassion to yourself. Everything
Agree.
around is just going to change dramatically
Right. Yes,
for
I agree.
good.
For good. Yes, in a good
For
way.
good. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, if someone did want to talk with you more about decluttering, or it sounded like you do one-on-one coaching, do you also do group coaching or lessons?
Yeah, so I do one-on-one
Okay.
coaching. So you can either get into my 6 months program or just like a one-off
Oh, okay.
support call.
Hmm.
But I'm on Instagram under Dorota Kuldo Decluttering. That's DOROTAKULDO Decluttering. So pop in, say hi. Also on Facebook.
Mm,
But Instagram is my main platform that I use. Pop
okay.
in, say hi, follow, give me a follow. Um, and if someone wants more information, there is also lots of ways to get in contact with me. But even just by following me, there's loads of things that my followers just get from me for absolutely free out there. I'm just so passionate about this, um, that I just love sharing on this topic.
Right. No, I love that. And you can see that you're very passionate about it and that you have a wonderful understanding of the mental load that goes along with the clutter and with decluttering. I love that.
Yeah, yeah. Women deserve a better way, a gentle, feminine way. I
Hmm.
think in 2026, we say no to the bra hassle culture, the rules, the strict ways of doing things, because there's never just one way. There's like 1,000,001 ways that we can do everything.
Right. Right. I love that. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Dorota. I appreciate it so much. I think you've shared a ton of valuable information with our audience. Um, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Bye bye.
Absolutely. Thank you.